Listening. Listen to the text and choose the answer which fits best according to what you hear.
I feel like you're going to be interested in this next commentary. It's about the expression, I feel like. A lot of young people and others, including me, often start their sentences that way. But some people hear that expression as a way of avoiding taking a stand. Not so, says our linguist Jeff Nunberg, who teaches at the University of California, Berkeley School of Information. He believes it's just another case of one generation misunderstanding the other.
The way kids speak today, I'm here to tell you. Over the course of history, every aging generation has made that complaint, and it's always turned out to be overblown. That's just as well. If the language really had been deteriorating all this time, we'd all be grunting like bears by now. But when it comes to language, history is bunk. Or anyway, it hasn't deterred critics from monitoring the speech of today's young people for the signs of cultural decline. In fact, it was a professor of history named Molly Worthen who raised an alarm in the New York Times recently about the way millennials start their sentences with "I feel like," as in, I feel like the media should concentrate more on the issues. In the end, she says, I feel like makes logical discussion impossible and undermines the conduct of public life. That's an awful lot to heap on the meaning of a little colloquialism, particularly when it actually doesn't mean that at all. I feel like is just a recent addition to the qualifiers we use to hedge our statements, phrases like I think, I suppose, and I guess. When we use verbs that way, their literal meanings are diluted. I guess I'll have the steak. That's not a guess. It's just how you announce that you've come to a decision. And however I feel like strikes you at first, it's not just about feelings. It's a way of introducing an opinion. I was talking with my students about online advertising the other day, and one of them said, I feel like you shouldn't have to see ads with paid content. He wasn't saying, that's my personal experience and I defy you to contradict it. He was just stating his view, and he was open to debating the point. If you actually go on Twitter and look at how people use the phrase, it usually means pretty much the same as to my mind, or if you ask me. I feel like the Giants have to fix the bottom of their rotation. Young people are perfectly capable of articulating logical opinions, whether about baseball or the political process. They just introduce them differently. The complaints about I feel like are no more off the wall than the complaints people make about texting abbreviations, vocal fry, or the other features that make the language of the young sound weird to older ears. Critics always want to make the next generation seem more alien than it actually is. Linguistically speaking, the hippies were right about people over 30. That's when our ear for language begins to fail us. It gets harder to learn new languages or memorize poetry. We forget more old words than we learn new ones. And we're apt to misunderstand what young people are trying to say. We register the words and tones, but we can't imagine our way into their meanings. All we can do is project, coloring their words with our associations. That response is automatic, almost neuronal. It doesn't help if we know better. We hear young people use the rising intonation called uptalk, and we invest it with the uncertainty that intonation signals in our own speech. Or anyway, I do, even though I'm aware it doesn't mean that to them. It's natural to try to blame our difficulties on them. If they really cared about communicating with us, they'd use words the same way we do. Well, it's unsettling to hear the language changing. You feel like things are slipping away from you, like the conversation is moving elsewhere, which of course it really is. You feel a sense of displacement and cultural dispossession. You wish you could somehow roll it all back.